Good morning, Maya back. Here's the plan. It's going to be more of the same. It'll be north perimeter wall. It'll be digging the big hole for the swimming pool. And beyond that, I don't expect there to be anything really else to show you. What we will do is try and touch on the issue of the moment here in the Philippines, which is the typhoon that's heading this way. Looks like where we are, we're going to escape the worst of it, but further down south, it looks pretty bad. It's not the biggest typhoon, but it still should bring a lot of very strong winds and a lot of rain and damage. So we'll try and touch on that a little bit today. Seems a bit facile to say what could possibly go wrong on a building site when people are in line for a typhoon heading their way. So I won't say it. Let's get on with it. We'll start here at what is currently our second pond. Only at the moment 2 or 3 guys on digging duty. Manny's got the diggerator where he's continuing to relocate some of the soil they've dug out and basically backfill. They are, by the look of things, trying to get the pump working again. We'll see if that can help to get rid of some of this water. It is a real challenge though. But we'll keep an eye on this during the day. So in the corner, coming from the front room before we turn the corner and go along the north wall, they are putting in the tie beam right now, putting in the concrete, which does suggest this is all going to be filled in. So that will cut off their access to the other side of the wall from this end, which means they're going to have to go down, I don't know, maybe 100 meters along that way to get around to the other side. Or they might stop with this intermediate beam and then just climb over. Let's see what happens. Mum's gone for a wander somewhere. There's only 7 here. So I wonder whether that means that one of them didn't make it. I guess it does. Well, that's life. Looking back towards the east, I think that's Webb again, up there on the scaffolding, continuing with the work on the top beam and a little bit more on the columns. So that, I would imagine, will be extended probably all the way along here today. This was a gap that I was wondering about yesterday. The engineer has spoken to him this morning. He was away yesterday getting his second COVID jab. And I did wonder why they'd stopped short of the column. If I've understood it correctly, basically it's because they hadn't prepared the base of the column, which meant that they couldn't pour the tie beam going across the column because they have to do those at the same time for structural integrity. And if you've got no tie beam base, you can't have concrete hollow block on top. And they have to cut off in a single vertical plane so that they can actually fit the blocks in when they start on that, I guess, later today. Not the best explanation, but that's all I can come up with so far. The digging crew, which today is Odette, AJ and Coelito, will continue. I imagine they will connect this element of trench, which is the last bit going north, with that bit of trench, which is the bit going around the fish pond. I imagine this will get connected today, probably, and then they will continue around the back of the pond, where, as we said yesterday, they've got a lot of vegetation to deal with, but they'll get through it. Also from yesterday, I wasn't sure about these holes that have been dug out and are being dug out around the perimeter of the pool. They are for columns to go in and give support. Typhoon Rai, or Odette as it is known here, is going to be hitting the more southerly areas of the Philippines later today. The last I've read, and this is now about 9 o'clock in the morning our time, it is on the verge of being classified as a super typhoon. It's got current sustained winds of 215 kilometers an hour, or about 130 miles an hour. But by the time it hits the land, well, by the time it makes landfall, which is later this afternoon, that's expected to be about 260 kilometers an hour, or 160 miles an hour. So we're starting here with a map of the Philippines just to show you it's a pretty big place. It's 1,600 kilometers from north to south. That's covering 7,100 islands. The typhoon is going to be hitting towards the more southerly areas, and it will go across from basically right to left on your screen, from areas like Siargao Island and southern Leyte, and then moving across towards places like Cebu and Iloilo. So where we are, we're likely to miss the worst of it. These typhoons, I believe, generally speaking, they'll cover about 100-mile north to south distance for the main effects, but it will impact us here. We will get rain, probably later today. It might be tomorrow, but where it is hitting directly, it does now look like it's going to be a pretty serious typhoon. So, just want to say that we hope, obviously, that everybody in the path and beyond is going to be safe. They could be in for a pretty messy day today and tomorrow, and maybe even extending into Saturday. So we wish them well. It's 4:45 and we've only just returned from the joys of food shopping. One of the downsides of moving from Hong Kong to the Philippines is that, in general, precisely 83% of the food items that I might buy in Hong Kong, I can't get here, at least not in the supermarkets. Might have to go onto an app and have a look for things like stuffing and Marmite and salad cream. Anyway, I digress. They have put in now 5 of the columns for the pool. So, one example right here. 5 of those are in, and it is obviously not very easy to spot, but there has been a lot more earth excavated, particularly over there at the deeper end. So they have not been idle in our absence. One clue is all of this dirt piled up at the side and behind me, I think is all new. I think. I'll have to go and check this morning's video. But they have dug quite a lot more here. There is clearly still a lot of water sitting there. I think they are really going to have a hard time getting rid of that. Here on the north wall, on the part that was already up to height, we have got the tie beam in across the top of much more. We've got forms on for both columns and the top beam, which I think some of this was not in place before. Not sure they actually went any higher further down there, but they did go a lot further. We'll go and have a look. With my back to the pond, I'm now standing within 2 sections or 6 meters of the corner of the pond. So they have extended these 5 levels of concrete hollow block all the way to here. They have got tie beam in for part of it further down. I don't think they've concreted any more of it in, but clearly we're getting close to coming towards the end of the north wall, at least up to this lower height. So we do have the concrete poured over the base beam and over the base of the columns, the footings, right up to this corner. So they did connect this northward bit with the bit that turns and goes around the corner. They didn't dig much further. I'm not sure if they got diverted or if they hit some issues, like for example this tree. Its roots may have been a real pain to get rid of, so that maybe slowed them down a bit. Breaking news today: our security is about to be seriously depleted. The security cows have been sold. Who's going to take care of us now? I think by tomorrow they may be gone. Sorry cows, hope you have a good life. We'll finish here at the house, which is probably feeling a bit ignored at the moment. It's not really had any attention for the last 2 or 3 days, maybe even a little bit longer. Anyway, so far the weather here is glorious. We've not had any hint of the bad weather that may be to come, and it's possible that we are far enough north that the impacts will be very limited. People down south, I think the landfall was probably roughly 3 hours ago, so hopefully everybody has found some kind of shelter. Typhoons here in the Philippines can have a disproportionate impact sometimes because the shelter is not always particularly robust, and like anywhere else where there's a typhoon, it's easy for things to get blown on top of other things like trees coming down and all sorts of different things. So hopefully everybody down there and those that are still in the path yet to come remain safe and manage to get through this rather nasty weather incident. In Asia, Southeast Asia, we are pretty used to typhoons. They're a fairly regular occurrence. I believe this is the 22nd one of 2021, although it is one of the big ones. So everybody, if you're down there, stay safe. See you tomorrow.